Okay, welcome to part 2, lesson 3, deburring, polishing, stropping. Under stropping, we just did the deburring first. You don't have to go to a specific canvas deburr like this yourself. You have a regular old leather belt, that works fine if you buy one for the purpose. Even if you're using some hippie leather glued to a piece of wood, that's fine. You just need to do this a bit longer to get the burr off and polish it. Previous episode, you can see where we got the edge looking a bit more shiny, like a mirror there. Plenty sharp. It's much sharper now. I'll run out of hair on both arms if I keep taking the hair off my arm, but you already saw it takes the hair off easy. It's even sharper now. If you just very gently drag it across your skin without much pressure, you'll feel it drag a little bit. That's because it's slicing right through the middle of your cell. That's what the drag is. 45-degree angle, it starts lifting your fingerprint up but not actually cutting into your skin. Any more pressure, it will just go right through the skin, through the epidermis into the dermis. Clearly we don't want to do that. So I already finished the stropping part A, which is deburring. When you get to the polish part, I have two different kinds of leather here. I have backside leather, back grain, front side, and some hippie leather, which is kind of both. Much thinner. Hippie leather is either goat skin, cow skin, sheep skin sometimes. A lot of times just regular beef skin, so not a problem. You'll feel a big difference when you go from deburring on canvas to deburring on actual leather here. It's going to drag more. That drag means you're actually doing something good. I'm going to disconnect my 2-in-1 here. In this case, we're just going to go to my actual strip. A friend made me here. Same thing applies. Pretty good down pressure, probably a pound or two. On this particular knife, you can see the bevel on it. We did 25 degrees. Then there's another facet the machine did, which is much shallower. Most time I'll just lay it flat on the actual machine cut right there, so you can see how that kind of looks, just flat as the machine did it. That gives me just enough lean, just enough pressure into the leather there that I'm polishing my edge and sharpening it, but not rolling off. If I go too steep, if I start leaning like this, then I'm just going to roll that edge off and I'm going to lose it. I don't want to make it more dull by rounding that corner. I just want to only be cutting off the flat side of that corner, only off the flat side. What we're doing is we're rubbing off metal cells a few at a time. Well, tens of thousands with each pass, but microscopically we don't notice it. We're just rubbing off cells from one side, rubbing off cells from the other, but we're not actually cutting into that final edge and pushing it this way, which makes a burr. We're just rubbing it off both sides. There is an abrasive effect on this leather, so I start pulling, I can feel a little bit of a drag, and it will start getting warm on the edge. Not enough to really feel unless you're going too fast, or you might even feel a little bit warm. That's okay if it's getting warm. That's just friction. That's normal. Again, we have a tanto blade, so I've got to do this edge, and then this other blade. If you're doing a regular round knife, you could easily just make sure you cover the whole edge. Start up here, work your way back consistently all the way to the tip. You want to use as much of your leather as you can, start to finish, not just a little section in the middle, and you want to evenly polish and sharpen the whole knife blade, start to finish. So you could start this way, as you can see, work your way down so you're at the tip right there, then flip it, start at this end, work your way back. Leather is bidirectional here, like the stones are. You want to use it front and back, left, right, much as you can to keep your leather even. If you're always only going one direction, you're going to wind up chewing up your leather, so we don't want to do that. We'll go left, go right side, left, tanto, same. You can hear that strop sound in there. Strop. That's what it needs to sound like on a nice dry piece of leather. We're just rubbing off a lot of metal cells onto this leather, which you won't be able to see. I have a microscope, you can kind of see the haze, but that'll get into advanced lessons there. And what happens is when you do this, of course, that edge just gets shinier and shinier, starts looking like a mirror. That's what we want. We want that edge polished. And advanced lessons will actually make a mirror edge on that facet right there, so you can actually see yourself, and we're getting all the way down to industrial sharp then. So again, on this leather, it really depends on the knife, how sharp your knife originally was, what kind of leather you're using, what kind of metal it is. There's no set number of passes you need to do here. You could do 20 or 30. In theory, you could just keep doing more passes and keep getting sharper and sharper, which is true in theory. 50 or 100 later, some people will do. But as that metal on that cutting edge gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, of course it's a thinner and thinner edge, which means it's easier to bend, fold over, or make dull. So there's a trade-off between a steep knife edge, which is durable, but not super sharp, and a really thin edge, which is super sharp, but not as durable because it's easy to bend over, it's so thin. So again, as we said early in part 1 basic, what's the intent of the knife? Is this for kitchen stuff? Is it a surgeon's scalpel? Is it going to be for cutting boxes and wood? Depends on what you plan. If this is for a super high quality kitchen knife that only slices prosciutto and paper thin slices of onion and tomatoes, yeah, you can do 11 or 15 degrees and just keep stropping down until you can drop a human hair over it and watch it split over. That would be totally fine, not a problem. So I'm about done stropping here because I know the quality of this piece of leather, and I know this knife, and it's in my hand. I won't know with your particular project because I can't see it and feel it, and this is different for every knife essentially, but over time you'll know what the feel is like. I'm just doing alternate each side, of course. You don't want to do only one side a long time, then the other, because that'll round off your corner. Front side, back side, front side, back side, and of course I have a two-sided strop here, so I'll flip it over and use both sides always, back and forth. And personally, I can feel when the drag becomes a bit more of a slip, because that means it's pretty much done and as smooth as it's going to get. Again, you can see it really shiny, reflective, plenty sharp there. Shave hair off your arm without a problem with no resistance. That's pretty much as sharp as we're going to go there for lesson 3. Intermediate, which is stropping all the way to the end. Pretty simple intermediate skill. We'll do lesson 4, which is multifaceted stuff, which probably should be more advanced, but we'll get started somewhere. Next lesson.